As Small Business Week wraps up, we'll conclude with an artistic turn. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on National Small Business Week, and we're visiting with Barry Sanders, Vice President and Director of New Business Development at Brandon Advertising. Good morning, Barry.
Morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for getting in this morning. How exciting all week to think we kicked off the week with a couple of days focused on SCORE and a couple of businesses that they've helped start here on the Strand. Of course, Carolina Trust Federal Credit Union on Wednesday, and the Disney Institute happening at Horry Georgetown Tech, and of course a couple of days here with some amazing small businesses that are tied into your agency.
Sure.
Very exciting.
It's a dynamic marketplace, and I think Brandon's lucky to be right smack in the middle of Myrtle Beach and all that's going on here. We're well positioned, for sure.
Truly, truly. What does the title New Business Development mean? What's this, what exactly for viewers in the PD or in southeastern North Carolina?
Well, let me explain that. We have an agency of about 50 people at Brandon, and they're involved in the different disciplines within the agency, and that's media, creative, interactive, public relations, production, all those things. But someone has to go out and cultivate new business for the agency and find clients that are a good fit for Brandon and likewise for the client, based on their needs and our resources. And sometimes the president of the agency does that. Sometimes the elder statesman of the agency does it. In this case, it was so important to Brandon to grow that the decision was made to have someone dedicated to doing that every day. And they brought me here to do that. And it's been a wonderful thing for me, and I think it's helped Brandon grow too.
You must have to spend a lot of time with the founders or the president of the company to really know what's in their mind, to know what's the right fit for Brandon.
That's the most important thing, is finding the right fit, and even more importantly, knowing what they need. Because we really are only as good as the information and the direction that we get from that client. And before you start marching down the road and developing a creative campaign or a media strategy, we have to really know what they need and what their goals and objectives are. So that's really important. And usually you get that from the top.
Barry, real quick about yourself. Where are you from originally?
I'm an upstate boy. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina.
What attracted you to the Strand?
Well, a lot of things, actually. My father was wise enough to buy into a vacation home in Litchfield Beach about 25 years ago. And for that reason, I've been coming down here my whole life. And so the thought of getting to relocate to a place where I vacationed was very appealing. But more importantly, Brandon Advertising, wanting to grow, and I was familiar with Brandon from my work on the South Carolina tourism account. When I was in Greenville, I was at Leslie Advertising, and I worked on that account, and that brought me to Brandon. And several times a year, I was actually in the building cultivating business on behalf of South Carolina tourism with Brandon. So there's some familiarity there. And actually, one day I walked out of the front door and I kind of looked around and I said, you know, I'd like to be here someday. So It was kind of funny how it worked out. And it's a great agency.
Listen to that. That's exciting.
Yeah, pretty
thought of that. And then, now you've been here how long, Barry?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. That's fantastic. Do you have your family here?
Yes, we relocated from Greenville, so a wife and 2 children under 6.
Have they been pretty happy with the move? Well, of course, under 6. Was your wife from the upstate?
Yes. From Greenville, but before we got here, we were pretty well traveled. Right out of grad school, I'm a Gamecock, go Cox, South Carolina grad, and right out of grad school, I took a job with Titleist and FootJoy Worldwide, and being a golfer most of my life, that was really a neat thing to do. So we relocated up to New Bedford, Massachusetts, where they're headquartered, and I was basically working for a corporate entity as in a marketing capacity there, golf ball marketing. And that was great, going up to New England and seeing a new part of the world. After that, I got involved in a senior professional golf tour, and I was in charge of sponsorship sales on a regional basis. So that took me into the world of sales. And And then the call of the South was so strong that we ended up back in Greenville, and that's where I started my agency career.
Right.
Working my way through the ranks of agencies. So I've seen the business from a lot of different perspectives. From the corporate side, being in a big company marketing environment, on the direct sales side, and then in the agency side. And I think being exposed to all that has given me a pretty good perspective on the business as a whole. Not to mention the golf, the resort, and the real estate business. It's so important to this area.
You've got an incredible, broad array of background to really enable this opportunity with new business development to open a lot of doors here on the Strand.
Well, you have to see it from a lot of different perspectives. That's the important thing. If you really have to put yourself in the person's shoes that you're talking to and find out what their big issues are and how you can help. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing.
Now, do you interact a lot within the agency, talking to account managers or otherwise, to find out some of the difficulties or some of the hurdles with working? Not that there are ever any hurdles in working with clients, but to find out certain things, aspects, areas that you can go into to really make sure that you groom a client well and make sure they're right for the agency.
Absolutely, on two levels, really. I am not an expert in all fields, but luckily I'm surrounded by some very talented people, and so I can tap into our media resources. I can tap into our public relations resources, creative, interactive, all those disciplines I can go to and get their take on the opportunity, and usually bring them along for a presentation, and so we present as a team. And then after we establish a relationship with the client, then you establish a team within the disciplines I just described, and you get the right people on that account team so that you've got a team for that business that's going to make it work.
Mm-hmm. What's that like, calling on a client for the first time? I mean, they've let you in the door because they understand this is a big deal. I mean, you're not calling on them necessarily to sell them advertising, like we do, but you're calling on them to help them grow their business.
That's right, and it's not easy making that first call sometimes. Luckily, I'm not afraid to do that. And if I was, I wouldn't be a good fit for this role. But Brandon's reputation really helps, and we are known as a specialist in destination marketing and resort, real estate marketing, mm-hmm. those type of things. So to have that clout helps me open some doors because we do know what we're doing in those fields. And but it's not all about phone calls. It's about a regular stream of mail-outs and slick packages and things like that. If luckily, we use the creative resources at Brandon to help sell ourselves, not only our clients. So that certainly helps. But there's nothing better than getting in front of a potential client and having a long discussion and just listening to what they need, and going back and then getting the right people together and establishing a game plan, going back and presenting what we think, and hopefully winning that business.
Barry, do you ever get involved with the large number of charitable groups that Brandon has helped get tied in with here on the Strand, the American Heart Association, the Children's Museum of South Carolina, any of those aspects that you ever get involved in?
Well, I'd say that's an agency involvement, actually, mm-hmm. from the top with Scott Brandon to a lot of the employees with the Heart Walk and all kind of things that we do. Too many to name. We do a lot of pro bono work. We've done some things for the Salvation Army. And just this morning, someone walked in my office and said, I owe them $1 for some charitable thing they're involved in. I don't know what it is, but mm-hmm. that's just the culture at Brandon to help out. And so that's from the top to bottom, not just me.
That's great, Barry. With our focus, obviously, all week on small business development and Small Business Week, it's so exciting to have someone who's really focused on that. If a new business owner came to Brandon Advertising for help, give us an overview of the services that might be offered.
Well, I would hope that we could develop an integrated program for that person instead of just doing one thing and really and not the others. And why I say that is because it works best, a marketing program, if it's integrated. Mm-hmm. Everything supports each other. The best case is to have an advertising client that also is a public relations client because it reinforces each other and there's some synergies there. So that's the first thing I try to establish, not just printing a brochure, but developing a whole program, writing a marketing plan, and executing all the disciplines that apply.
Mm-hmm. And so do you all often have clients who come to you? I mean, obviously it makes your job a little easier, but are there folks mm-hmm. who come knocking and saying, is Barry Sanders around, or is somebody
Luckily,
around?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a compliment to the agency and the reputation. And so I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of times a week someone will call, and they don't always work out, but it's great. We talk to everyone, invite them in, I'll go meet with them, and let's just see if there's a great fit. So the answer is yes, we're lucky to have some calls, but with that coming in at the same time, we have a list of regional companies that we would love to do business with. Financial, resort, real estate, golf, telecommunications, healthcare. And so we're trying to grow smart by finding the right type of fit for us.
And you see other agencies here on the Strand calling on many of the same clients, I guess. Or does that probably works in a positive sense, just knowing these businesses are finding out about the incredible opportunities here on the Strand with great agencies that really help grow the community?
That's right, but it really keeps you on your toes. It keeps we know we have to do a good job because our client is probably being solicited on a weekly basis. So that motivates us to do really good work.
Barry, what's the most important element in your work with a client company?
An in-depth knowledge of what their critical issues are. And being able to focus on those. That really is what it comes down to. When people walk in the door, if I can find out, or we can find out, those top 5 issues that are keeping them awake at night, that are keeping them from growing their business like they'd like to, that's really where you got to start. And then we got to develop strategies to address those.
And they'll share those things with you, Barry.
They will. And you know, usually if you can get someone to share their database or past sales reports or anything and everything, I always ask them to give me as much information as they can, and the more the better for us.
How have you noticed a change in the marketplace since you arrived here 3.5 years ago?
Well, Brandon has tried to weather that with our clients, but really it comes down to Myrtle Beach is very fortunate to be a drive market. We are not dependent on air travel, and that has certainly helped the Grand Strand weather this storm. So with that said, I think it's more of an attitude of conservatism. People are watching their marketing dollars a lot closer, trying to do more with less. And so that's what I've seen. We're very lucky. I mean, we have not had that big of a drop-off in the tourism numbers here, like some other destinations. And so we're fortunate in that respect. So when all that happened, we tried to reinforce the message that we are a safe, family, affordable destination that you can drive to.
We've got about a minute, Barry. And of course, one of the great things is you all represent some regional airlines and who are dependent on air travel. And the Myrtle Beach Airport has really done a lot to cull that. And of course, yesterday Craig Smith was in talking about group sales and other things coming in on the Strand and lots of large groups coming in. It's important to think we still get a lot of those folks.
That's right, and we hope to get more. As much as Myrtle Beach is growing from the infrastructure with a boost in air travel and open up new routes, that would just be great for this market.
Absolutely. Barry, what do you think's contributed to Brandon Advertising's longevity and success here on the Strand? I think I saw in reading that Cecil Brandon had been out calling on hotels in 1959.
That's where it all started, and Cecil was integral in making Myrtle Beach a market where there's a spirit of cooperation. Everybody could have competed. Instead, he persuaded people to work together, pool their resources, and that I think that helped this market grow a lot. And then from there, it's just a great agency. A lot of older, veteran, talented people, and a lot of new talented blood coming in, and it all works together.
Barry, lastly, what do you like best about what you're doing?
The opportunity to solve people's problems with a team behind me. And, you know, you help their bottom line. You're helping them lead better lives. You're helping their kids go to school. It all kind of trickles down. So we want to do a good job. And the best thing is having a really good relationship with a client where it's more than business. You know, you're partners, and they treat you that way, and it's likewise.
We're visiting with a problem solver. It's a great way to wrap up National Small Business Week on Carolina People. Barry Sanders, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to Scott Jacob coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio. We're focused on National Small Business Week, and we're visiting with Scott Jacob, the general manager of the Long Bay Symphony. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Exciting to help wrap up National Small Business Week. Of course, folks wouldn't think of the Long Bay Symphony as a small business, but it ties in so many ways. Of course, you're a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
You've been around for 15 or so years.
16.
But 16 years. Great. That's right. This is the 16th season. a big season coming up. But there's still many aspects of it having to perform as a small business, as you know, as the general manager.
Yeah. No, it definitely is a business. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And, you know, the final result is the concerts. But leading up to them is a lot of work. And we are a small business. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. Scott, about yourself, were you originally from the area?
No, actually, I moved here in January from Philadelphia. And
you moved here from Philadelphia?
yeah.
Great. What were you doing in Philadelphia prior to coming to the beach?
Well, I worked for the American Institute of Architects, and I did their programs and events and continuing education.
Wonderful. And when did you join the Long Bay Symphony?
I came on board the end of March this year.
Okay, so just about 6 months.
Yeah. It's been a pretty hectic 6 months.
Absolutely.
I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Absolutely. Where did you attend school, Scott, and what did you major in?
I went to Temple University in Philadelphia, and I was a history major.
Good. Well, that's a good tie into the Long Bay Symphony.
Well, I mean, actually some of the classes that I took were in music history, also dealing with art and architecture and just regular American history, but I've always had a love for classical music and music in general. So I was really happy to have this opportunity.
Was this your first position after arriving at the beach?
Yeah, actually it is. I started off on an independent research project, and so I wanted a part-time position. And that's what I started off with the symphony as, running the office and ticketing manager, a few other things. And then as time progressed, we realized that there was a need for a general manager in addition to the executive director. Because there's a lot of time involved in fundraising and, you know, various aspects of putting together a season and the various other concerts that we do. We're very busy in there.
Yeah, Scott. And Chuck Larson's the executive director?
Yes, he is.
Charles Jones Evans, the maestro.
Yeah.
So you all are very busy, aside from so many other folks.
Yeah,
this truly is a small business.
A youth orchestra manager. We have a librarian. Actually, they're the same person. Personnel manager and a corps of volunteers who help us out immensely. We couldn't survive without our volunteers.
Just helping to manage volunteers is a big deal.
Well, it's usually a pleasure, though.
Yes.
Yeah, because the volunteers are so willing and eager to help us out.
Absolutely. Scott, when you... The prompting to move to Myrtle Beach and to leave Philadelphia, I mean, that's a big, big move.
Well, it was. A very close friend of mine moved down here, and I had a chance to visit a few times, and I really liked it. I thought it was a nice atmosphere. The weather, you know, can't be beat, except for the hot months of July and August. I think I'm getting used to that.
Right.
But it was really, I think, an advantageous move, and the people down here have been so friendly. I really like that.
Oh, yeah, very definitely. That's a good transition. I just imagine coming from, for instance, in our view, the TV markets, that's the fourth largest TV market in the country. The Florence, Myrtle Beach, or Myrtle Beach, Florence market's around 110. So, I mean, that's a big move from a large metropolis to a community.
It has been a big change, for sure, in every aspect. But I've found that Myrtle Beach has so much to offer.
Yes.
In all different realms.
And Scott, you said you came on board in an internship capacity 6 months ago. Is that right?
No, not really an internship. Sort of part-time.
Oh, okay, part-time capacity. That's right. When you think about that, the primary duties as general manager, what are those primary duties?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, there's all kinds of things that need to be done before a concert, actually before the entire season. You know, making arrangements for the musicians that come in, our guest soloists, for example, contracts with the various organizations we work with. I also am involved in managing the box office.
Okay.
And we get an awful lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
That's where the volunteers come in handy, too. I mean, that's just scratching the surface. I do the financial aspects. And really, just a general contact for every aspect.
And speaking of phone, I was just thinking about, speaking of phone calls, can we go ahead and get you all's phone number, particularly for the performance this weekend? And I sure want to talk about that. What's the...
Oh, yeah. It's area code 843-448-8379. And you can also visit our website at www.longbaysymphony.com.
Okay, 843-448-8379 or longbaysymphony.com.
That's right.
Fantastic. What are some of the community groups that appear at the Long Bay Symphony regularly?
Well, one of the groups that we work with very frequently, and in fact our concert coming up this weekend, is the Carolina Master Chorale under the direction of Tim Cook. We worked with them for years doing various different concerts, including the Messiah, and other groups work with us with the Messiah as well. But that's really a very large and wonderful chorus, and we're thrilled to have something like that in the area. We've worked with various groups, like some jazz ensembles. In fact, some of our symphony players also work with, are in other jazz groups and whatnot. This concert we're also working with the Litchfield Dance Company. This is actually a pretty new thing for us to incorporate dancing in our production. Oh gosh, all kinds of different groups. Coastal Concert Association has helped us out. And various soloists from around the region. In fact, in particular, this one that we're going to talk about coming up, Tom Fox. He's a world-renowned baritone, and we're really happy to have him.
Great. Let's talk about Tom and, of course, Kay Sloan this weekend.
Yes. Okay. Well, coming up is their kickoff concert for our season, 2003-2004 season. It's called An Evening at the Opera, and it's Sunday. That's at 4 o'clock. We've changed the concert time back to 4 o'clock, which I think a lot of people are happy about, at the Myrtle Beach High School Auditorium. And we have, as I mentioned, world-renowned baritone, Tom Fox. And also noted soprano, Kay Sloan, who's the music director at Trinity Episcopal Church. We've got the Master Chorale, Carolina Master Chorale, Litchfield Dance Company, a special children's chorus called the St. Cecilia Children's Chorus that has been developed for this concert, and we hope to continue to do stuff with them.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Well, this is going to be a huge Sunday.
It really is.
And, of course, the change from the normal performance times have been 7:30 in the past, and now moving to 4 o'clock.
We moved it to 4.
Right.
I think that makes it easier for people to go to dinner with their friends after the symphony and something like that. And a lot of our seniors who are a major base of our clientele.
Right.
Really appreciate the earlier time.
And concert goers with children, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably a lot easier to get babysitters from a 4 to 7 time period than 7:30 to midnight or 10 or 11. So that's a big deal. We've just got a couple of minutes, Guy. Can we talk about some of the other performances in this year's Master Classics series?
Okay. Well, this year we're doing 4 classical concerts. We haven't given up on doing pops, but there was a lot of demand from our patrons because they love the classical as well as the pops. We've got on November 16th, Ning Kam coming. She is a world-renowned violinist. She's coming over from London.
Right.
And that's going to be called In the Spirit of the Dance, and it's music that is evocative of the dance and I guess was written for that purpose. And then on March 14th, we've got Themes and Variations, and we've got a young cellist who's just brilliant. His name is Kenneth Olson. He's coming in. And then our last concert of the season is April 18th, and it's called Classical Associations. And Adam Neiman, who's a pianist that was with us before, is coming in, and he's doing a number of very well-known and well-loved pieces. Very difficult and entertaining. So we're really excited about all the concerts we have coming up.
You've got to be, Scott. Now, if viewers this morning called the 843-448-8379 number, could they also buy tickets for the other 3 performances you just spoke of?
Definitely. You can buy single tickets for this concert coming up, or you can buy season tickets, or tickets for any of our other concerts throughout the year. We have the Chamber Orchestra series as well.
Right.
And we're more than happy to get it taken care of.
And you encourage folks to buy ahead of time rather than just showing up at the door, because oftentimes these concerts
sell out. Yeah, because that way we can have it for them in the will call box.
Right.
But, please call. It's a wonderful concert, and we certainly hope to see you all there.
Absolutely. And the Carolina Master Chorale, such a superstar group. Tim Cook, magnificent. And, of course, he's over a group in Columbia as well. Very busy, like Charles and the whole crew. That should be wonderful. Scott, what do you like best about what you're doing now as general manager of the Long Bay Symphony?
Well, actually, I mean, the longer I'm here, the more I understand about everything that goes into having a symphony, a professional symphony orchestra. And it's very exciting to be a part of all those aspects. I mean, actually going to the concert, you know, you sit there with a smile on your face and you're very proud. That's definitely number one. And number two, I've met some wonderful people. You know, just artistic personalities, the people who are on, you know, the volunteer corps, various businesses from around the community. People love the symphony, and it's a joy talking to them because they're so happy that we're here.
Meeting folks and helping this small, not-for-profit business work well. It's exactly what makes Scott Jacob tick, and it's a big thrill. Absolutely. Scott, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Definitely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Barry Sanders of Brandon Advertising and Scott Jacob of the Long Bay Symphony for working so hard to make National Small Business Week a great success.